Ooh, shoot. Let me fix this sucker right here. This should not be the case. That is my fault. I'm appearing unprepared. Okay? Should be good now, right? I am full screened. Even though I moved around. A little bit of a preparation error on my end. But we should be good. What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. And we are live on this early Sunday evening. Decent weather for now. But we have a little special stream that I wanted to do based off of not one, but two topics that were kind of brought up at the end of this past week to close out April of 2022 in wrestling that I thought was worthy of doing a special stream for. Especially the second thing I'm going to talk about in this stream. Oh boy. Boy, do I love some juicy shoot interviews. Hats off to Ember Moon, of course, as well. But we'll talk about that when we get to that. But yes, we are live. I meant to do this earlier. I had a lot of time today, but my softball game got canceled, and it was raining for most of the day, and there was also a chance of storms. So I waited for a little bit to make sure, we weren't going to get too much interference, because storms and internet streaming sometimes don't really get along too well. So that's why I waited for a little bit. But first off, I definitely do need to get a new generic background, because even though we're going to be talking about NXT, I don't watch NXT anymore. I feel like I should get an updated generic background in some way, especially to at least get rid of that. But who knows what I'll change it to. I feel like I should change something a little bit more, since I've really, dug deep in doing other topics right now. But I'm actually pretty excited for the stream. It's been a while. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love reviewing AEW, but this is a little bit like a different, like a special stream. Because most of my small topic videos, I've been pre-recording them, because I just haven't really felt like, discussing things, live with fans. Because other than, my casuals, which I do enjoy, but, I was just, which is why I posted that video the other week about the wrestling audience being toxic. I needed a little bit like a breather from dealing with a toxic audience live. But to my fans, of course, who have always, apologies, though, because again, just, to my little subscribers, I love whenever we have the streams, just you guys. But for those who are just coming up here, of course, as always, just to, just, instead of having a discussion, just to bash people for their opinions, then those are the ones I don't want to talk to, honestly. But I think this stream will be very fun, very worthy. And after this, I get 6 Seinfeld reviews to do. So hopefully we'll be seeing those up by the end of tonight, because the next 2 weeks are going to be super busy for me. Very busy. Some good stuff coming for me, personally, coming up. Of course, that may get shared, maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. But yes, with my, of course, Blue Yeti microphone. Yes, I haven't hyped it up for a long time, but, it's old news now, but just felt like saying it. We're going to discuss 2 things that happened this past week in wrestling. The first thing will be about the 10 releases from NXT, which came 2 weeks after the Black Wednesday date, or the April. For the past 2 years, April 15th was the day where WWE was doing a lot of releases. And of course, April 15th, 2022 was what started the trend for the past 2 years of just the hundreds of releases WWE has done. All 10 of these came from NXT. And to be honest, most of them I was just like, who? There's really only 2 who's I'm going to actually briefly discuss. Because some of these releases were some people who were involved in pivotal storylines for NXT. Again, I don't watch it, but obviously, from, the advertisements, when I scroll through Twitter and I see, this and that going on, I'm like, oh dear Lord. So obviously, I'm aware there's some things that are going on with NXT, but I still don't keep up with this. I don't know the whole story. I do know, though, that some of these, like, bigger names that were released, they had actually were not planning on re-signing pretty much. So most of them, I could say, okay, I'm not surprised in that way because, they wanted out. I didn't know till, just Friday. Definitely two really one that I'm very well aware of very surprised me. One that I didn't know too well, we'll get to it. So let's first talk about these 10 releases. Then we'll get into the second topic. Honestly, the topic I'm a little more excited to talk about. But let's talk about this. So the ones I weren't familiar with that got released. Referee Blair Baldwin, Draco Anthony, not Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter, Draco Anthony, who I thought was just recently new too. Again, there's these talents that WWE is literally just bringing in and just giving up within like 2 months, which is very concerning for sure. Especially the talent that only brought in because Vince would want them in, because that's the whole reason why Vince took over NXT. Vince and Bruce Pritchard took over NXT for that, right? Raylan Devine, who? Vish Kenya, who? And Mila Mulaney, who? I don't know any of those names, so, wish you the best. I don't have really much to say, really, about them, because I don't really know who you are, unfortunately. But there's with that. Then there's these 5, the ones that I am somewhat familiar with, or a little more familiar with. We'll start off with Persia Parado, if that's how you pronounce the name. So, again, don't know much about Persia Parado, other than the fact that she was being treated like the new image that it seems the direction, especially NXT, from what the highlights I've seen, and of course from the interview that we're going to discuss in the second half of the stream, it seems like she was playing a role in what NXT is looking to do, and that's bring back the Divas era, which I absolutely hate that idea. It is okay for me to still have some women only being there for the sex appeal. You need those characters to mix it up a little bit. It does work. A Mandy Rose definitely works in that role for sure. And a few others. But not everybody needs to be dressing, in sexy attire, this, and that. Is what not saying that even if their wrestling gear is not going to be hot and whatnot, but I'm saying is if they're going back to this 2-minute, divas, booty shaking matches and not focus on the wrestling, then that's just what turns me off big time. So I don't know much about Persia Parada, other than the fact that I think she was at one point a tag team with Indy Hartwell whenever her and Candice split up whenever Indy married Dexter Lumis. And I guess from what I saw in the highlights, they were going to be a tag team. I mean, not tag. They were having this feud with Lumis and Hartwell and Parada and Duke Hudson. And here's another reason why I'm a little surprised with this one is I didn't notice this until months ago, I think, when I heard that he was feuding with Cameron Grimes. Duke Hudson is that Brendan Vink, who was briefly Shane Thorne's tag team partner at the beginning of the pandemic. That they were briefly appeared on Raw. The tag team that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander jobbed to on a empty arena episode of Raw. And apparently Vince was very high on Brendan Vink. And he disappeared. I'm like, where the heck is Brendan Vink guy? And I found out when I think Hudson was feuding with Cameron Grimes that, that apparently is Brendan Vink. So to see that one of Vince's guys' girls could make out with Brendan Vink, and I heard that they did a bunch of very, cringy, hokey stuff with Lumis and Hartwell and Parada and Hudson. you would, it's, and again, I don't know Persia Pirotta that well at all, other than the fact that, of course, I'm sure that she was out there for, you know, a hot body, basically. But she was involved in the pivotal storyline with what exactly Vince was looking for. So why did they release her? You know, if she's doing what Vince is looking for, and especially if she's, you know, involved with one of Vince's main guys, then why was she let go? So, somewhat surprised, of course, because she was involved in a storyline that was on TV. Wasn't good from what I hear, but she was still involved. So, why it got released? I don't know. But there's one of the ones that I would briefly want to talk about was Persia Pirotta. The next one was Harland. Don't know Harland. He's a manager for the guy, I guess, who's going after Braun Breaker's NXT title now. And that's another thing too. He's the manager of the current challenger for your main title on your show. So why are you taking that storyline now, the headlining storyline on your show, and changing it by releasing a pivotal character? And the only reason why I'm talking about Harland also, not because, you know, he's the only name that I actually recognize on this list from what I've seen when I scroll through, you know, the roster and whatnot. Apparently, Paul Heyman also even said, this guy right here could easily be the next Brock Lesnar. So if you can get compared to Brock Lesnar, and after just a year or maybe 9, I don't know when Harland signed, get the boot already, that shows nobody is safe. So, once again, I don't know why this one got released, because, again, it makes no sense. Like, you know, you would think they would release someone else in this spot, especially if, you know, one, he's the manager of, who was it, Joe Gacy, where it was, who's feuding with Braun Breaker now for the NXT Championship. So, you're releasing him in the midst of a world title feud storyline that he's the manager of the challenger for. So again, so now what are you going to do with that storyline? It's like you're going to show up for the show on Tuesday, and you know you're going to rip up the scripts, and we're going to start all over again, and act like, you know, nothing ever happened, which happens a lot. Obviously, you know, as we see from interviews that the script is changed up so many times. Even during the show, even to the last second of the show, the script is being altered, which should not be happening, and it's not professional at all in the production business. But not much more to say about Harland. Then we got this one. We've got Malcolm Bivens, who is, I believe, because right before I stopped watching NXT, he was the manager for Roderick Strong's stable, Diamond Mine, which I don't know. Other than that, I know that Roddy had a run with the Cruiserweight title before he got retired. I don't know if Diamond Mine was really a big hit or what was going on there. I know they had released other members of the stable, you know, here and there, but they had Malcolm Bivens. And I know lately a lot of people have been saying, there's people, of course, who have really been ranting about the fact that they had MVP turn on Bobby Lashley to be Omos's mouthpiece, which, yes, Omos needs a mouthpiece, but so did Bobby Lashley. And a lot of people said that Malcolm Bivens should have been the mouthpiece for Omos, which I agree. You know, I briefly saw Malcolm Bivens. He was their manager. He was also brought in at first, before the pandemic, to be the manager of whatever Veer and Shanky's names were originally when they were supposed to feud with Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. Yeah, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, not Riddle and Butch. And then that got the plug pulled on, which, you know, no respect Malcolm Bivens. He would play the manager role good, but Veer and Shanky, I mean, I know I recently gave a slight bit of praise to Veer because his real life name, Rinku Singh, is one of the guys from the $1 Million Arm movie that the movie is based off of, and of course he was a former minor league affiliate for my hometown baseball team. But you know that tag team was not going to be appealing whatsoever. So, again, like, you have Roderick Strong. I don't know how the other talents is. So, you definitely could have had a good thing going, which, as far as I know, could have been, but I don't know for sure. But apparently, back in February, they were talking with Bivens about an extension, and he turned it down. He wanted out. So, I heard that, I'm like, any time anymore, unless if, like, they're literally someone like a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins or guest recently a Cody Rhodes or Charlotte Flair, you kind of also got to throw a bone to Alexa Bliss, who apparently isn't happy with her direction of her character either, because they have, like, literally nothing for her to do right now. Who knows? She could get cut next for all we know. Nobody is safe. But anytime where I hear that a talent is not happy, unless someone who's, like, a huge favorite, I'm like, I don't blame you. As the first thing is, I don't blame you. So, Malcolm Bivens, if you wanted out, I don't blame you. I mean, most of these names so far, I'm just like, no one on this list besides, of course, the last I'm talking about is anybody I wanted to really see go to, like, AEW or New Japan. It's like, go whatever. It's like, I'm not like, this is not the biggest breaking headline news for me, these releases, but, who knows where Malcolm Bivens will go to. I mean, again, I didn't get to see too much of his work, but he definitely had some really, really good potential for sure to be a good manager, which I'm sure most people think he already is from his other work outside of WWE. But, we'll see where he shows up. We'll see who he manages. Who knows? I don't have any ideas right now, but we'll have to wait and see. What's up, Tyler? Thank you for joining me live, man. So, let's get down to the last two. Now, this next one's not the biggest name on this list, but I will definitely say, now I'll definitely say that this isn't the biggest name on the list. This is the one that really surprised me the most, though, out of all these releases. Dexter Lumis. Dexter freaking Lumis was also released, which I'm shocked about. Kind of like Persia Parada, which I didn't get to know Persia Parada that well at all, other than the fact that I just saw videos of her making out with Duke Hudson. She posted a bunch of like sexy model looking poses and whatnot with her photos and whatnot. Obviously, again, she was out there for a body. Dexter Lumis, of course, was involved in that storyline as well because he's married to Indy Hartwell. I still never understood that marriage. I mean, I stopped watching right when Indy and Lumis got married, and I still didn't understand the fact that, oh, he's hot. It's like, there's no story behind it. And they're trying to pull off, like a Mandy Rose Otis angle that actually worked, because those characters that they were actually intrigued in, Otis, was a lovable character. Mandy Rose, although, yes, is the hot one, her character was supposed to more so show that, yes, I'm much more than just, just a hot body, basically. And they told that story so perfectly. This Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell storyline just made absolutely no sense. And the problem is they tried... When Dexter Lumis first started getting his singles push, it was right at the beginning of the pandemic. At first, they're going to push him as a heel because he had this silent, psychopath, stalker type character. But then he started fighting some of the bigger names like the Undisputed Era, I believe it was. I remember it was around the time when before Velveteen Dream got in trouble, and there was kind of teasing somewhat of like a tag team with him and Velveteen Dream. But that was, of course, when there was no audience. So although they tried to transition his character that they debuted as a heel immediately to a face, it's kind of like, did they do this because he's actually getting a good response? Like, this is one of the stars they tried to make during the pandemic era, but you couldn't, you didn't know if he really was a star or not because he wasn't getting that crowd reaction. He wasn't getting the buzz on Twitter or whatnot. So even though he was being treated like a bigger star, you didn't feel like he was, a bigger star. Like, I feel like, the stuff they were teasing with him and Velveteen Dream, that was interesting to me a little bit. But then, of course, Velveteen Dream, all this crap went down, and it got scratched. He got thrown into some weird thing with Roderick Strong, and then he got involved with a few with Johnny Gargano and The Way. I am still surprised that Dexter Lumis was not the one who dethroned Johnny Gargano of the North American title. I thought, if anything... What's this? Oh. I don't know. Nothing major. I thought, if anything, Lumis was going to be the one, because they seem to have shown a lot. They seem to be very, very high on Lumis. And then, of course, like Persia Pirotta, he's involved with some storyline with him and Andy Hartwell, Index, and then Duke Hudson and Persia Pirotta. And now, what are we going to do now? And look at Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell, think of this. The time she's been in WWE, she's lost Johnny Gargano, Austin Theory, Candice LeRae, Persia Pirotta, and now Dexter Lumis. What are you going to do? Now have her and Duke Hudson get together? What the heck's going to happen now? So, with how much TV... I mean, Persia Pirotta I didn't know too well, but I still thought it was part of a pivotal storyline. Dexter Lumis, with how much they've given him since the pandemic era began, this one shocked me the most, that they actually gave up on him. This one really caught me by surprise. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen now to Indy Hartwell. Like I said, they could probably just tell something where it's like, oh, Persia's gone. She broke up with me and left me. Oh, Dax left me too. Let's fall up each other now. Again, I'm not watching NXT, but it would not surprise me if that's what it went to. It really won't. It really won't surprise me. Okay, so again, this next one, because I heard she had wanted out, this didn't surprise me as much as Lumis. But, this one's definitely the biggest name on this list. That is Dakota Kai. Poor Dakota. I love Dakota Kai. I mean, I know my friend Joe, always says that Dakota Kai, to him, has MJF heat because of what she did to Tegan Nox. But to me, I'm like, well, that's good you feel that way about her, because she's doing her job. It's not like she's getting horrible white heat like Baron Corbin gets all the time, being the cheap heel heat that's just boring. But let's discuss Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, underrated, underappreciative, had some moments where I felt she should have been hitting the top of the women's division, and they didn't pull the trigger, or bad luck happened. For starters, I won't deny, I saw her in the Mae Young Classic. She was great. When she first came over to NXT, it was as a babyface. It still took me a little bit to really take her seriously. Even though I think what I did like, I think this is one of her first matches too, actually. I still like the intriguing history with her and Shayna Baszler. From that first match, where Shayna's debut match, where she stomped on Dakota Kai's arm, that only a select few for me have sold it very well. Dakota Kai was one of the best sellers, I thought, in the company at one point. And that history that displayed from day one with Shayna Baszler, how Dakota had that obvious fear of Shayna Baszler. Even though they kept trying to throw her to get to, standing up to Shayna Baszler, a little too soon. I thought, they should have given it a little bit more time before Dakota stood up to her. Because I still felt that when the few times they did, I'm like, okay, yes, this works, but it took me a bit to still take Dakota Kai seriously, to believe she could be women's champion. Because when they were having her still face Shayna, I'm like, still doesn't feel like it yet. I think I started seeing the momentum for Dakota whenever she briefly did appear in NXT UK. I think she was involved in that tournament, that 8-women tournament to crown the first UK women's champion. And I think the first match that, outside the Mae Young Classic she had that I thought was good was the match she had with Toni Storm. And then that's when I'm like, okay, here, I was starting to feel it then. And then she had that ACL injury. had she not had that ACL injury, I think Dakota Kai as a babyface could have been the next Bayley. She also could have been, I still think as a babyface, what they did with Rhea Ripley, even though they just cut all her momentum off after WrestleMania 36 and just, kept her in NXT for another year, for what reason? Literally no reason at all. Just to put over Raquel Gonzalez in a last one standing match? Like, that's really you. We'll get to that another time again. I've ranted about that several times. How they literally made Rhea like some unique star and then it made her just like everybody else again. In NXT, remember. But I honest to God thought Dakota Kai, based off of her history with Shayna Baszler, as a babyface, should have been the one to dethrone Shayna Baszler. I also thought that they should have given Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, even if it was a short reign, a brief reign with the NXT women's tag titles. I'm sorry. They didn't have them right away. Because I remember whenever last year when Raquel and Dakota won the tournament, and they had Raquel and Dakota face Shayna and Nia, I'm like, oh, this is great. This be the perfect time to put the women's tag titles on them. And this could maybe be, even though it was heel on heel, have Dakota Kai basically finally be standing up to Shayna Baszler. Like, that's just what I was always like so intrigued by. I just wanted some type of like a thing where Dakota as a face or the heel gave the comeuppance in some way to Shayna Baszler. But instead, they had some really weird finish involving Adam Pearce. And the following week, they invented NXT women's tag titles. And there's not enough depth on both the main roster and NXT for those stinking titles that they need to just get rid of. So that's one storyline I'm disappointed that they never capitalized on. But getting back to her and Tegan, when they both came back from their knee injuries, and you obviously saw on social media and everything the friendship they developed. I'm like, you got to give them a run with the tag titles. You got to. And then the build to that women's War Games match in 2019, a lot of people say they didn't see it coming. I somewhat, saw it coming. But I was kind of like, I don't want to boot Dakota because, again, I was just so into seeing her dethroning Shayna Baszler. But, of course, Rhea Ripley was in town. She was on fire, I get it. So they turned Dakota heel. They should have, in my opinion, somehow gotten the Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox feud to be for the women's title, where Tegan got her full revenge on Dakota by defeating her to win the women's title. Which should have been the right way to go, but didn't happen. She got lost in the shuffle. Raquel Gonzalez teamed with her, and instead of Dakota win the title, Raquel was the one who won the title. And I was like, wait, I thought Raquel was the muscle, not Dakota. And then, I don't know, I heard she did recently turn face. I think her and Raquel won the tag titles for like 2 days, and then they dropped them back to Toxic Attraction, I think it was on NXT, and then they released her. Because Vince apparently never saw her as main roster worthy. Which is such a shame, because, even though she's underrated, yes, like I said, at first it took me a bit to think, okay, she's a serious contender in this women's division. She could still tell a story. She could still sell. She may not have been the best wrestler on the roster, but she was one of the best workers the company had for sure. And I'm not as upset about this, as surprised by this one as Loomis, because apparently Dakota was asking for her release. Well, I'm sorry. She was not planning on re-signing. Which, okay, it's like basically Dakota was just going to do what Johnny Gargano did. Just finish up the contract and, move on to something else. That's all Dakota wanted to do, but nope. They gave her the boot. So, I don't know, like I said, I like Dakota. I don't know if like Ring of Honor, or I feel like she would probably, with her, being from New Zealand, I feel like, she would go back to maybe like somewhere overseas or something like that, maybe to wrestle. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, definitely the biggest name of this batch. But definitely Loomis surprised me the most, I would say, out of all of them. Tyler also says that NXT 2.0 needs to go. And that's saying, keeps saying, and a lot of people say also, and I agree, not just drop the brand split. If you're going to keep releasing people, what's the point of having a developmental system with absolutely no talent at all whatsoever? Barely any talent at all. What's the point of having them have a developmental system, having a 2-hour show? You're calling it developmental, but it's not developmental. It's basically a third brand. It's basically like WWE ECW from back in like 2006 to 2010. What's the point? Why not just have these guys do dark matches, or and or do like a one, like I say, put NXT back on the network only and go 1 hour. Cause like I said, when they went live in 2019, I was for that. I was a little hesitant about going 2 hours, but I'm thinking, you know what? The roster is stacked. They're putting the cruiserweight division on NXT. That to me, that was not that was a good gamble, and unfortunately didn't work out. Again, I don't blame that on the downfall for NXT. I blame the downfall on the pandemic, because they lost their audience at Full Sail. Even if they went back to Full Sail now, it wouldn't be the same again, because there's no talent. And also, it's ran by Vince and Bruce Pritchard, who want divas back now. Which I'm referring to that because of the interview that we're about to talk about in a second here. But I still think the downfall for NXT, of course, was again the pandemic era. And then I think they, between TakeOver Vengeance Day in 2021 and TakeOver 36, when Samoa Joe came back, I was starting to feel like they were getting back on track again. And then, to me, what completely killed it for me still was when Karrion Kross, as NXT champion, lost his main roster debut to Jeff Hardy. That's what killed it all for me. And Vince did that on purpose. Vince, single-handedly, in 90 seconds, killed Black and Gold NXT. Which is just absolutely sad. So, I don't blame any people like Dakota Kai or Malcolm Bivens for wanting to get out. Or people like Johnny Gargano who chose not to resign. I don't blame them. I absolutely do not blame them. I don't get how Vince is so senile or whatnot, but it's a shame. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I know, there's me, the big AEW fan, there's no one on this list that's really to be thinking, oh, they gotta grab them. I don't know. We'll wait and see. Maybe Dakota, but I still see Dakota doing something more so overseas, maybe, in my opinion. But, if she was AEW, not gonna complain. We'll have to wait and see, though. But, yeah, those are my thoughts on the 10 releases. Now, let's get to the more juicier topic. The thing that I really, really want. I mean, the releases, yes, but the thing that I'm really, really intrigued about talking about. Ember Moon. Athena. So, I think she has some, indies bookings and whatnot. Because a lot of people I know want to see her come to AEW. Apparently, she has, been in touch, but people are saying that she's already has some other dates committed, so it may be a bit before we see Athena appear in AEW. Who knows? But she did an interview recently that was just uploaded to YouTube late last week with YouTube's Chris Van Vliet. I haven't watched some of the interviews for a while, but I had watched a good amount of them because most of my, again, a lot of podcasts or interviews I listen to is, especially in the past few years, is the stars who get released or leave WWE. And, a lot more than Phil lately, are saying, yeah, I was ready for my time there. And just like, it didn't work out. This wasn't what I wanted to do. But then there's some who have opened up more and just like shot on them and basically just said, all due respect, their creative sucks. And that's kind of like what Ember Moon said in this interview. So, I actually have, we're not going to play it, of course, I have, in writing on bodyslam.net what she had said when Chris had brought up, her departure. And when she said, okay, I'm going to talk about it. So obviously you knew it was pretty serious and something that really, just got to her. For sure. But let's read this. Here's what, and it's a little long, here's what Ember Moon had to say. My last 4 months was just one of those moments where I wasn't having fun anymore. It started with Shotzi being gone and drafted. I remember thinking, I was sitting at home, because remember, her and Shotzi were women's tag champions in NXT for a little bit. I remember thinking, I was sitting at home and I got a phone call saying, hey, we don't want you to be upset, but Shotzi just got moved to SmackDown and she's debuting with Tegan Nox as a tag team. I was sitting there and I'm getting this phone call about her getting drafted. Oh my god, I'm so happy for her. And then the tag team thing popped up and I was like, but we're the tag team here. And we have merch and we're doing fun things and we had just gotten into our groove with the banner. They were like, don't worry, we have something for you. Okay, cool. I remember going to Hunter and he was like, I have no clue what's happening. We'll figure it out together. That's when Hunter was, still around before he got his heart issues and whatnot. Of course, Triple H going away was the end for Ember Moon because Ember Moon obviously was a Triple H project. That's no secret. He was a Triple H project, and if he didn't believe that Ember Moon was something, she would not have been brought back to NXT. And I think somewhere in here, Ember did reveal also that she was brought back to NXT after her Achilles injury to repackage and go back up to the main roster in about a year. Kind of like she basically was pulling like Finn Balor, except with the women's division, basically. Even though Finn Balor did the same thing, he's back up on the main roster now, and he's basically back to where he was before he went back to NXT, basically. Or worse, who knows. That was so much of what I needed at the time, because no one knew what was happening. Bayley had gotten injured. I know Shotzi and Tegan were doing dark matches for a tryout anyway. The problem I had was, some of these new writers were coming from Raw and SmackDown. We had no idea you and Shotzi were a tag team. Once again, showing that Vince pays attention to the NXT product. So, again, Triple H is congratulating people for moving to the main roster, yet Vince is bringing them up and is making them something completely different than they were in NXT. So again, I get developmental. You're showing how professional you are, how you adapt your skills, how you are up to making changes. But when you get called up, shouldn't you be that character? Like, why? Like, if you're gonna call them up, make them something absolutely completely different, then what was the point of their run development? It's like Pete Dunne. What was the point of making the Bruiserweight in NXT and NXT UK, then calling him up, making him something completely different? To me, it's like starting completely over again. So if you had to do that, then why do you have to be in NXT this whole time? Anyways. But yeah, they had no clue that her and Shotzi were a tag team. A lot of the WWE backstage is having to play the game. It's cool, we get it. We're down in NXT. It's not like we were front page of the website when we won the titles. That's fine, yes. You're just having to eat the shit sandwich and smile with shit in your teeth a lot of times. It's all about not making waves. Me and Hunter and the head writer at the time had come up with doing a heel turn with me because it was new and different, which I would have been for, of course. During this process, we wanted to do a losing streak. That was my thought. Let me do the losing streak. I see the new faces coming through, and part of my job at NXT was to help new talent on TV, which I get. I love this business so much that I didn't mind. Let me do a losing streak. Let me get frustrated and let me turn. This is a great idea. We have A, B, C, and D. We'll do your first feud with this person, then the first match happened, and I'm off TV for 4 weeks. Don't worry, we got this. Then Triple H disappeared. And she was supposed to do a match with Saray and end up getting a rash on her arm. It was an allergic reaction to something that they thought it was something else. Who knows what they thought it was. So they pulled me from the match. Fine. We'll do the match next week. 3 weeks later, we're going to do this match. Then that match got pulled from TV. And one of the head coaches go, will you do me a favor and work 205 Live with Cora Jade? Who is one of the uprising stars in NXT right now. But this, of course, I'm saying, okay, again, like, I was confused too. Why were they treating 205 Live like an NXT's main event show? Like WWE main event. 205 Live turned to NXT main event, which they got rid of. Now it's called NXT Level Up. So at least they're acknowledging what it really is now. And since there's no cruiserweight division anymore. They said, we like her. She's a sweet girl. We think this will be a fun match. You two are in the main event. Sounds good, she says. I'm never going to say no to having a match on TV regardless of where it's airing. We have a fun banger of a match. They go, You're turning in this match. I guess whenever that match happened, that's when she was supposed to turn heel. But we want to make it subtle. They kind of turned me, but they didn't. There's confusion going of what would happen. Then off TV for 3 more weeks. She has a match with Mandy Rose, and they're like, we're finally going to pull the trigger on this. I get a note that week saying, in 2 weeks, we need you to dye your hair fire color again, get the red contacts, you're going back to the old Ember Moon character. This is per Vince. You're going to turn heel, but turn heel as your old character. We're trying to get the old music and stuff together, which Ember thought was great. Of course, changing the plans again so many times. She showed up TV motivated and just had to wait it out. And then Ryan Katz and I went and filmed a demo of the vibe that she wanted. Come back, I get the video ready. I'm ready to show everyone after TV, and they're like, hey, we have some bad news. Vince is pulling you off TV indefinitely. For what? Like, that's when she said, I'm like, for what? Like, what did you do? Like, why are you even having her there doing all this work, wasting her time to develop this character just to say, oh, you're off TV indefinitely? And then she just sat there and was like, what did I do wrong? Oh, nothing. But why am I off TV? Oh, you did nothing wrong. Just pulling off TV. Probably because, oh, we have no creative direction for you. No, you didn't even want to try. When I finish this, I'm going to say how Ember Moon is a case there's no excuse how you could not have had something for her to do. Because of how awesome she was in the ring. I've done everything you guys have asked me. I've gone over and above, yes. When they put her with Shotzi in a tag team, everyone knew that she was not a tag team person. She hates tag teams. There are too many moving parts. It's just, not that she hated it, it was just the fact that it requires so much more to give versus just relying on yourself. You have to rely on 3 other people. She felt that her and Shotzi were capitalizing on it, and they were so motivated to build that division, and then they weren't able to do so because they called up Shotzi. She showed up the TV, it's 2 a.m., and she was like, I've done everything you've asked me to. I branched out. When you care about something, not just for yourself, but for everyone involved, it hurts so much more because for so many years she's been not about herself. She's been for the match and other people. To be told I've done nothing, I'm kind of changing to the third person now, but we get back to the first person. To be told that I've done nothing wrong and I was taken off TV for doing nothing wrong, it hurts so bad because I was so happy walking into work. I remember when Shotzi left, I remember going to my makeup artist and saying, I am so unhappy. We would have to sit through stupid meetings about how we'd have to dress sexy. Here was a core thing also, again, when I was talking earlier with the releases about, how they're going back to the Divas division, this is why. I remember looking at someone else and laughing, saying, I catered to children. I'm not about to wear fishnet booty butt cheek shorts because we had a 2-hour meeting about how to dress like Mandy Rose. That's not fair. Mandy is absolutely phenomenal and an amazing person, but not everyone is Mandy Rose. So that explains, of course, why Mandy Rose was brought back to NXT, which, again, I'm still surprised. She's getting this major push, because apparently she's the blueprint of what exactly Vince wants this women's division to be now. Not a wrestling division, a sex appeal division again, the Divas division again. But, and like I said earlier, it's okay to have those characters, but back in that Evolution or Revolution 24 special, Natalya said it clear. She's not there to be a model. She's there to be a wrestler. And Ember Moon is a beautiful woman, but she is not there for sex appeal. She is there to wrestle. She has one of the freaking best women's finishers with the Eclipse. But it was probably too cool for Vince. That's probably why Vince didn't like her, because it was too cool for her. And as she said too, I agree. Ember Moon's character, if there's ever a character, if there's ever a character I do feel that I feel like could appeal to children, I feel Ember Moon, just fits that role for sure with her character. So yeah, her wanting to go back to being basically a diva, basically, no, that does not fit her at all whatsoever. I started seeing this downslope as soon as Hunter was gone. Yes, we all did. For the first bit, we didn't know why. We just knew he wasn't there. I got so angry, I was sitting there thinking, I did nothing wrong. I didn't piss off Vince. They take Shotzi away. Hunter's gone. You guys promised me this wouldn't happen. You promised I wouldn't be lost in the shuffle. I went on this losing streak to help you guys out and build other talents so I could get a reward. Which is true. She said it, she even said, I'm not sure if she said it's going to be quoted here, but she said at one point in an interview, she was brought back to NXT to repackage and be brought back up in a year. So basically, yeah, she's going to get talent over, but she's also going to be, still having the star power herself there as well. Not make her basically be like a jobber to everybody. They're like, not everyone is lost. Not everything is lost, Ember. We still want you to come and help the next generation. Maybe teach a class, do some PC lives. And she's like, wait a minute. You're taking me off TV and trying to make me a coach? Yes. That's exactly what they did. They didn't want Ember Moon, I'm definitely cutting off to it, but it baffles me. They have these talents. Ember Moon. They, of course, Adam Cole was supposed to be called up, bald shaved. Adam Boo was going to be his name. He was going to be Keith Bearcat Lee's manager. And and now we have L.A. Knight, who just got called. Apparently he's done some dark, match segments. He's now the manager for Mace? Why are you bringing these people up? Again, bring up wrestlers to be freaking managers or coaches. Ember Moon is too good of a talent. She's only, I think, 33 years old. She's too good of a talent. She's too young to be pulled from TV to be a coach. And she did nothing wrong. I don't get it. When I read that, it's like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? Why have them be a wrestler in NXT, then bring them up to the main roster to be a manager or a coach. That's not what they're there for. Again, this is not what she signed up for. And she laughed it off and said, if I've done nothing wrong, you can cancel all my flights. I'm not coming to help these people who do not care about what I do. They only care about the paycheck that hits their bank account. Exactly, which is why most of these talents still seem like they're there, which is why I talked about in the whole ego video I did last week. They're not passionate like me. Definitely not. I'm not going to come up here and help these people that don't care about what we do when there is no benefit for me. When I've done nothing wrong and I've given you my entire right side of my body between my elbow surgery and my Achilles surgery, I've given you this entire side for no reward, not even a thank you. You want me to coach and take me off TV to coach? I remember sitting there, I got teary-eyed, and I said, I'm not coming up here to coach or do PC shows. I was supposed to come to NXT, here's what she says, I was supposed to come to NXT to repackage and go back to the main roster. That was supposed to be within the year, but I'm still here. You took Shotzi away from me, I have nothing to go off on, I'm going home. Cancel all my flights, cancel all my hotels. If you have a flight there and have no creative for me, I'm not getting on the flight. I'm not doing this anymore because I'm going to snap. It's either going to be on you or on a talent. I'm going to go home. If you need me there to have something for me, even then, I need to approve the creative before I hop on the flight. It's the first time I've ever pulled this card. So she somewhat, was not released yet, somewhat pulled a Toni Storm here. I remember thinking, I think I just quit. For 3 months, I had been saying, I think I'm going to quit today. Then I actually did, I think. I got real small and quiet. I was yelling because I was so angry. The worst part about this was I knew that on some level I was leaving. I had already gone and got an extra bag and kept it in the locker room so I could pack my stuff and leave. It had been there for a month. I was so unhappy and could see where it was going between the booty butt cheek meeting and them telling girls to alter their gear to make it more revealing. Some people were very uncomfortable with that, and they were like, nope, this is what they want, and you have to do it. It didn't matter how that person felt. This isn't, I'm almost done, I promise. This isn't what I signed up for anymore. This isn't about the wrestling or about the art we create in the ring. This is turning into everything I left on Raw and SmackDown. The pity parties started forming in the locker room, the jealousy, the cattiness. Why is this person on TV? I'm just sitting there like, I'm an adult, I can't deal with this high school bullshit, but be like, guys, it's okay. And I'd be that locker room leader because if I didn't, it would go into the negative zone and no one be able to have any type of positivity and everyone would hate the job that we've all worked so hard to get. That pretty much is, the bulk of it. There was a little bit more in the interview. Wow. First off, I'll always say this. I always was a huge fan of Ember Moon. When she debuted, I think it was at TakeOver Brooklyn 2, and she faced off against Billie Kay. The entrance, the look, the finisher, I'm like, she's a star. The moment she walked in the door, I was saying this should be the woman who dethrones Asuka. She didn't dethrone Asuka, but that second match, my women's match of the year for 2018 it was, because that's when I had TakeOver Brooklyn 3, I believe. 2018? Was that 18 or was that... No, 17. 17 was Brooklyn 3, because Asuka got called up for TLC 2017, because that was the same show where they had that 5-on-3 match with Kurt Angle and the Shield or not. But anyways, but even though she lost that match, it still felt out she came out a winner. And of course, when she won the women's title in that Fatal 4-Way a few months later, it's like, it felt like, even though Asuka technically beat her, it still felt like Ember Moon had won, and she was the true champion. It felt like you left the night with two true champions on your roster. And when she got called up, I'm like, fantastic. And then they did nothing with her. They did absolutely nothing with her, cut some bullcrap promos. That was not her fault, of course. And then they literally didn't even try. They did not even try. Why? I don't know. Probably because Vince just didn't like her because she wasn't the image that she saw. That they spotted. She went back to NXT, of course. Was rebranded. Was supposed to turn heel. And then she basically does nothing wrong, and they try to make her a coach. Without looking like that the company didn't do anything wrong, but they did. There's that. And I remember also, another moment that I became a bigger fan of Ember Moon was, I think it was one of the end of the year NXT award shows, or what I was called. I remember they ended it with kind of like this documentary on Ember Moon and how, her family didn't approve of her being a wrestler and how she would sneak away and drive like 5 hours to go to Booker T's training school and whatnot. Like, I remember watching that, and I'm like, okay, Ember Moon was cool before. After that, I saw that, I'm like, she's even cooler now. Like Ember Moon could be a huge star. You talk about, like, Toni Storm, still have, Ember's not as young as Toni, but Ember's 33, Toni's like, 26, I think she is now. Ember Moon obviously is a little bit older, but you wonder why you want Ember Moon in AEW. She will be an asset. She is talented. She is not someone there, again, as she's described, to wear booty shaking, attire or whatnot. She's there to wrestle. What I talked about last week in ego, what's one good thing about having ego? Is that there's not too many people in WWE that actually are driven to be the best. They're there to get a freaking paycheck. And Ember Moon, she's passionate. She is passionate, and she is determined to be the best. She's goal-driven to be the best. A positive ego to have in the wrestling industry. And we know Ember Moon can be good. And when you see them hold her back with this, and then again here, not only did they want to take her off TV completely, but they wanted to make her just a coach and a trainer. It's like, you got some nerve. You have absolutely some nerve. I don't know if it's because of, they were scared of her getting hurt again. You ever notice that? It's like, anytime, well, first off, a wrestler gets very injury prone when they're in WWE. Anywhere else, they're not. Probably because their schedule's not crazy. But also, WWE seems to be way too afraid to have someone like Ember Moon who had an Achilles injury. They're terrified probably to push her again because they're afraid for her to get hurt again. But it's like, you can't hold against them forever. Injuries happen. Seth Rollins went down with an ACL and with the triple whammy. The ACL, MCL, and meniscus while as world champion. Did you stop pushing him as a big star? Did you pull him off TV and told him he had to be a coach? No. So, why did Ember Moon get the same treatment? And why on earth are they trying to make NXT slowly bring back the women, the Divas division? And like I said before, you can have those, few characters that there aren't wrestlers, they're more of, sex appeal objects. That's okay. But your whole damn show should not be that at all. So, like I said, I don't know when Ember Moon, Athena, is going to be making... And actually, also, something that wasn't mentioned on the thing I just read. When she got the call, I think she was playing some video game when she got the call from John Laurinaitis 3 weeks after, where she basically told them, cancel my flights. I'm not coming back unless I approve I approve creative. But 3 weeks after that was when she was released. And basically she said whenever she got the call from John Laurinaitis, she's like, cool. And basically her husband knew what was going on. He poured the champagne and they literally toasted afterwards. Good for you, Ember. Oh, sorry. Good for you, Athena. Like I said, Ember Moon is a unique talent, a main event talent and definitely a woman I think you could easily headline and build a women's division around. As a wrestler, not as a coach. They're trying to make her her another Serena Deeb. Like, I see Serena Deeb wrestle now and this great thing she's doing in AEW, and I'm like, why on earth did WWE not let her wrestle? So, they basically do the same thing to Ember Moon. But nope. Not happening anymore. So, and I think Ember did say also, I think her contract was supposed to end, like, around this time. Like, it was supposed to end in April 2022, which was just yesterday, actually. So, she was not planning on re-signing, apparently, either, because she was so unhappy. So, yeah. That, again, I definitely talked a lot more about that than the releases, but I didn't even have much of an audience in the show, just Tyler, but I had fun. I love this stream. I love talking about those releases. I love to talk about Ember Moon. Ember Moon, always a great subject to talk about for sure. You know, again, I do know that she's, you know, she has already some bookings. So again, it still may be a bit before she gets to AEW, but I'm hoping AEW grabs her. And like I said, when they do, they're going to be adding another asset and another candidate to build a women's division around. Another future women's world champion also to build around. I think a lot of people are hoping that she'll be brought in at some point. Maybe a Double or Nothing, maybe. She'll be brought in to challenge Jade Cargill and win the TBS title from Jade Cargill. And Athena as women's champion. Holy smokes, that'd be awesome. Well, as women's world champion someday, yes. But, of course, as TBS champion, I'll rock it as well when you first bring her in. Again, like I said before, Jade Cargill is someone, yes, she's still green, she's still developing, but I still feel like she has a character she has a character. She's still a little green in the ring, but you can have her adapt from the in-ring character, basically, is what I'm trying to say. From the in-ring character. Ember Moon will not need to be... Athena being a TBS champion will be like John Cena being United States champion from 2015, I feel like. So, I definitely look forward to seeing when Athena gets back and gets to AEW, hopefully. Because I always will have a ton of respect for Athena. And I'm glad she spoke up and admitted it. And again, like I said, why am I a fan of hers? It's just, once again, as I said last week, she is driven to be the best. She is determined to be the best. She's not there just for a paycheck. She's not there for the money. She's there to she loves wrestling and she wants to be the best. And that's a great mindset for people to get behind. So, that's my thoughts on the stream, guys. Again, thank you, Tyler, in the live chat. If you watch this afterwards, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the 10 releases from NXT from this past Friday? And what were your thoughts also on Athena's interview with Chris Van Vliet? Whatever the heck his last name is. I've watched a few of his interviews, good stuff. Definitely check out his channel. But definitely check out that interview with Athena. Make sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure as always to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Till then, guys, I'm checking out. I will catch you all later. Have a great rest of your night. I'll hopefully have some Seinfeld reviews to upload by the end of the night tonight. And then probably sometime this week I'll get to start doing the final chapter, which is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 for my PC gameplay as well for that too. So as always, guys, stay tuned for what's yet to come. Again, the next couple weeks are going to get busy. I'm making a couple big life-altering decisions within the next month or so. So, definitely, just be prepared for some changes to come, maybe. We'll see what happens, guys. Love you all. Peace out. Have a great night. Have a great start to your May of 2020. Peace out, everybody. No escape.